Hey, y'all. We're a few minutes early. We'll see if anybody hops on. This is the regular time that we do lives. This is the this is our midweek live, our Wednesday live. And I did a live yesterday, and I think I did the live. I definitely did one Sunday, but we're gonna hop on for our midweek live. We'll see if anybody hops on here. I'm gonna try to cut them a little bit shorter than we've been doing. That we've been going about 2 hours, so we'll just see how the conversations go. But we'll see who all hops on here. It looks like there's one person on. If we get who's on here, tell us who y'all are. Leave a comment. But we'll see who hops on, and we'll go from there. Like I said, we've been keeping them a little bit long. Hello. How are you, Randy? You're becoming one of the regulars that hops on all the time. That's pretty awesome. That's great. I like being able to talk to the same people over and over again. It makes it a lot more comfortable, to be honest with you. It's hard getting on here. When you first start doing YouTube videos, it's hard to talk to the camera and nobody's there. You feel weird. You feel weird talking to the camera when nobody's there. And then you get over that, and then you start doing lives, and then when nobody's on here, it's that same awkward feeling. Hello, how are you? Hi, John. Joe. I said John. I meant Joe. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Joe.
I'm sure you heard my husband back there. That's embarrassing. I don't know what he has been. I told him today I was recording a video. I said, people are going to think that you're obnoxious. I think he's just having an off day where he's just a wee bit obnoxious, which is unusual for him because he's a very quiet man. I don't have trouble talking. I don't know if that's a compliment though that you're trying to throw out there. No, I can talk. My mom used to say that I talked in my sleep. She said you talk so much that you even talk in your sleep, and unfortunately, my daughter got that trait as well. And I think that's why. I think that's why the Lord paired me with my husband, because bless his heart, he is so quiet. And used to, when we first got together, I'd talk, and I'd ask him a question, and he'd say, it was like one word answers. Mm-hmm. And he's real quiet, and he's just real reserved. He just sits back and watches. When we go to family events, my side of the family is real talkative, and his side of the family is really quiet. So quiet that it almost makes you feel awkward when you say anything, because I'm the one that breaks the silence. While everybody's they just sit and stare at each other. I don't know, it's weird. It's so weird, but that's what happens when you marry a polar opposite, that you get their polar opposite family as well. I love his family though. I'm not talking bad about his family. They're just completely different than mine. My family, we're loud, and we're talking to each other across the room, and we're carrying on conversations, with 3 people in between us, and we're just having the conversation and carrying it on and talking, and, we just fill the room full of conversation. His family fills the room full of silence. They're very quiet people. And it gets awkward sometimes, and I think, they're probably, when I'm around, they're probably thinking, gosh, I wish she'd shut up. I wish she just didn't talk so much. But I think that comes from my background and how I was raised as well. I did, when I was in middle school and high school, I did public speaking competitions. I was in multiple clubs and stuff where I just had to stand up in front of a lot of people and talk and have conversation. And I have no I'm not backwards. I'm not like what Southerners would call somebody backwards. I'm not backwards. I have no problem asking people questions. I have no problem talking to people. But my husband is not like that at all. He is very quiet, very reserved. And my daughter, I thought that she was going to be like him. She used to be really shy, and then all of a sudden, she found her little voice, and now she doesn't stop talking. She doesn't stop talking. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. The violent part is unfortunate. I talked about on the last couple lives how I don't like being in the public. I don't like being in town. I don't like going to town. I don't like going and doing those things. And it's not because I'm like antisocial, like that I can't talk to people. It's just I don't like to be in like public environments. I can go do it. I'm fine, but I don't like it. But I was raised, my dad was a pastor. Like I said, I was in, clubs and groups where, I'd have to stand up and talk in front of people. And my dad was a pastor, and he stands up, every Sunday and talks in front of people. My mom is maybe the quieter one, but she's a teacher. So their jobs require them to stand up and talk in front of people. And so I got that gene. Well, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. Like I would tell a child, nice hands. Nice hands. You gotta have nice hands. Yeah. Yeah, so that's why. I don't know if you were actually making a compliment about me being able to talk to people. I've been told my whole entire life that I talk too much, and I will completely agree with that. I don't really have any problem with speaking, especially to people. I just don't. Hey, Daisy, how are you doing? Yeah. Well, how is everybody doing? Guys, I woke up throughout the night. We got a very bad storm, it was good. Okay, good. We got a very strong windstorm, and actually had some tornado watches going on. And so I spent the night getting up and down and up and down, and probably around 7 o'clock this morning, I just got up, and it sounded like a train was hitting our house. The wind was crazy. I don't know exactly what the miles per hour were, but I have no doubt in my mind that we probably got like 50, 60 miles per hour at times with the wind. Thank God all the animals were okay. Everything was all right on the farm. We didn't really have to do much, but it was bad. And it's dropped the temperature quite a bit. We were at 72 degrees, I think, yesterday, and we dropped down to 40 by the time we left the farm today. Daisy Q, I don't know. I don't have much experience with raised beds. Is it raised beds or like in the ground? Oh, bless your heart. I hate that for you, Joe. Yeah, I'd say you all have been getting it as well, Randy. I think you all are, Virginia, West Virginia? It was hard. I think we even got raised beds. I think that people do cover them. I wish I could give you a definitive answer, though, Daisy Q. I wish that I actually had the answer for you, but where I don't have as much experience as raised beds as garden beds, yeah, West Virginia. So you're getting what we're getting. That's awesome. It's always nice to be able to expand the garden. I love it. Idaho. The only thing I know about Idaho is Idaho potatoes. I don't know much about Idaho. I wish I did know more about different places, but I don't. unfortunately. I know about West Virginia because they're next door to us. Yeah, I don't know much about Idaho. But potatoes, like I said. This weather, though, is remnant of spring weather to come. And guess what? My Easter lilies are out. So I don't know if we're going to get any snow on top of that. We're all cowboys touching the Yellowstone. That's awesome. There is nothing wrong with cowboys, for sure. For sure. I don't know. I know cow people. I know farmers. I know a lot of people that think that they're cowboys after watching, like a Western. But about as much as I know about cowboys is like a rodeo. I know that there's a lot more to it. I know that cowboys are not just, like cowboy boots and cowboy hats. My husband wears cowboy boots and cowboy hats, but I wouldn't call him a cowboy. So, hey, how are you, Jason? Nice to see you. I think that you commented on my live, last night or this morning? I think you missed it. But I'm super excited about you popping in. That's awesome. Stick around. We might have some cool conversations. To be honest with you guys, I had no clue what we were going to talk about. Sometimes I think through what we might talk about on lives. Other times I don't. Thank you. I appreciate it. Other times I don't. But I really, honestly, where I did a live last night, I'm about, out of ideas of what to talk about. Here's the thing, guys. I told my husband, I said the last couple videos I've posted have been about rabbits. And guess what, guys? The next couple videos I post are going to be about rabbits. So I hope you all are interested in rabbits because that's all that is going on the farm right now. We haven't started siege yet. I talked to my mother-in-law, and Lord's will, and the creek don't rise, that we will be able to start our seeds the second week of March. I'm super excited about that. I need to order my loofah seeds. I haven't done that yet. I'm nervous about loofah seeds. Has anybody on here grew loofahs? Grew loofahs? That didn't sound right when I first said that. I want to try to be grammatical. See, now I'm just getting down the hole. Loofahs, like the loofah scrubby things. Loofahs. Like what you grow, like what everybody thinks comes out of the sea. Like when you buy it in the store, the loofahs. The scrubby, viney looking root things. I think they call them loofah gourds, is what they call them. And I learned by watching videos that supposedly you can eat them. No, I didn't. No, I seen that, though, that other people were doing it. I think that would be super cool to do. Who have I seen do it? Maybe Alabama Farm Life. She, I think, is doing it. And then there was an older lady that I believe that she shared her video and she was doing it as well. I'm not really familiar with I've heard of the Vineyard Chicks. I've seen here and there their videos. But I haven't really, I'm not familiar with their channel. I think that they're three young girls, right? It's sisters or something like that. Younger girls. Oh no. Yeah, that would be awesome. You know what? Spring is coming. I don't know what area that you are in, but winter is a hard time for everybody. And depression is something that can steal our joy away. And I don't know if you're saved or not, but I contribute. I try to just put my faith in the Lord and know that He will see me through. There's been many times that I've been depressed, though. There's been many times that I've been in depression, and I've had to deal with seasonal depression. It's really, really hard, and it stinks, and it's a hard thing to go through. And sometimes the winters seem so long, and spring feels like it's never going to come. But it is what it is. Oh, you're from Kentucky. Awesome. That's wonderful. Sorry, let me introduce myself. Well, I hope you have changed your ways, Joe. If you haven't, there is always room for change. And, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that the snow that people get up there is probably not as is probably a little bit worse than what we get here. I'm gonna say it probably is, especially in Kentucky. So, in Central Tennessee from Kentucky. That's so awesome that you're from Kentucky. Yeah, I've been saved for over 30 years. Praise God. Awesome. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's amazing. Thank God for that. I'm glad that you have been able to find sobriety. That's amazing. That's a hard thing that's something that affects every family. I don't know anybody's family that has not been affected by some type of addiction. Alcoholism is something that my mother, on my mom's side of the family, her father was an alcoholic, and that was something that tore their family apart. And aren't you in Alaska? Oh no! I thought you said Alaska. No, I'm from Kentucky. Yeah, I'm not from Arkansas. Born and raised in Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky specifically. Yeah, yeah, that's something. That's something that I know a lot of people have been through. Addiction is extremely hard on the person that has to go through it, on the person, the people that they love. It's a battle that I know very little about. That's something that I've never had to struggle with. I've never had to struggle with addiction. I thank God for that. But I know people that have, and I've watched people that I love suffer from addiction. And yeah, somebody said Arkansas. Hi, Ark. How are you? Yeah, well, yeah, see, yeah. Yeah, you can always tell. At least I can. Well, I'm glad that you are doing better, Joe. And I hope you continue on the right path, because it's hard to it's a hard thing to go through. And I know that a lot of people struggle with it. A lot of people fight their whole lives trying to be sober, trying to fight, things that they've done in the past. I know a lot of people, especially people that have went through types of addiction that they have, that they have a lot of regrets. And here's the thing, everybody has regrets in their life. And I was talking to Jason about, being saved and being a Christian. The Lord forgives us of those things if we ask forgiveness for them. If we get saved and we ask forgiveness for Him, that He can give us peace in that. And I'm thankful for that. Seems like Kentuckians are more genuine, sincere. No offense to others. Anyhow, I appreciate it. I try to be genuine and sincere. I think it's especially in the Appalachian region. I think that we either like what we like or we don't like what we don't like. And for the most part, we're very open about that. These people that I know, I try to be loving and kind to people. I try to treat people the way that I would like to be treated. And I try to have love in my heart for other people. I can't say that for everybody in Kentucky, but I can say that a lot of times we're pretty set in our ways and very aware of the things that we don't like and the things that we do like, and very aware of letting you know of those things that we like and we don't like, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Let me see. I just had a lot. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you were there for your family. A lot of people don't get that luxury. Especially children, of parents that have addiction. A lot of times the parents with addiction are nowhere to be found, and they're never there when they need to be, and that's very hard on the children. I grew up having my very best friend as a child with her mother struggling with addiction, and still to this day she struggles with addiction, and it's extremely hard on her family. And she was not there when she needed to be there, and she took away from her family more than she gave to her family. So I'm glad that you were there, because sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, unfortunately. Let me see. I was born in Somerset, grew up in every city and most towns throughout all Kentucky. Just grew up in Somerset. Well, you're not that far from where we're at, or where you grew up or born in Somerset. I'm trying to think of how far. Somerset's maybe about 3-ish hours from me. So. Not too far. I'm going to say, about 3-ish hours from where I'm at. So not too far. I guess our closest, well, never mind. I love Kentucky. Kentucky's home to me. The mountains are home. The hills are home. And it's funny. I think you said you were in Tennessee now, but it's funny to me because like a lot of Kentuckians do, we'll go to Florida in the summertime for vacation sometimes. And a lot of people in Kentucky do that, at least in this area. They go to Florida. And I am so ready. When I see Tennessee, I know that I'm getting close to home. And then when I see our mountains, I know. I know that I'm close to home, and I'm so excited. As soon as it's funny because you go, you're coming up from Florida and you hit Tennessee and you start seeing the mountains and it feels a little more like home. And then you hit Kentucky and you're really close to home, and the mountains are home to me. Yeah, Tennessee, I haven't. A lot of people talk about Gatlinburg and going to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. I've never been. We talked about going, but we've just never done it. Is the winters? I can imagine the winters are pretty bad. I can imagine. I'm not a winter girl. Thank God that the winter that we've had this year has not been near as bad as it was last year. It's been very mild, and I'm very thankful for that. The winter was so long last year, I didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't think I was going to make it through it. It was super hard, and I'm not a winter girl. I don't like being cold. I'm not made for the cold. And I don't like being cold. Especially, like, I'm the type of person, like, once my hands and feet get cold, I know there's a lot of people like this. Once my hands and feet get cold, I'm cold for most of the day. I'm just cold. Like, we were out at the farm, my feet got cold, and my feet are still cold. They're still cold, and it's been hours. It's been hours since we've been outside. I didn't go outside much today, too, because the wind will literally take your breath away when you go outside. And I like to be able to breathe as well. Breathing is something I like to be able to do. Yeah, I can imagine -20 not being no fun. Yeah, that's how I am, Mark. My feet get cold, I'm cold. We were I don't know if some of you all are new, or Jason and Joe, I believe, are new to this channel. Our farm is 15 minutes away, so we drive 15 minutes to the farm, and then we drive back home. And I finished my chores. I got things done quick. My feet were freezing. I did a little video. My feet and hands got froze. And I went straight to the truck. I said, honey, I'm done. Do you need anything? And he said, no, I don't need anything. I said, I'm going to the truck. And when you're done, then you can come along. But my hands and feet get cold, and I get angry. I can't stand being cold. Yeah, I need to just make a coffee and bring it with me, because I find the times that I'm not a big coffee drinker, but when I do drink coffee and it's wintertime, if I can take a cup of coffee out with me, I can stay warm a little bit longer. But a lot of times when you're doing videos, you're talking, and so you can't just like sit there and sip on the coffee. And so I was making a video today, and so my hands were moving because I talk with my hands. They were moving and blowing in the wind, I guess, and they got cold. And then my feet got cold, and I told him, I said, honey, I love you, but I can't. The rabbits actually do extremely well in the cold weather. Rabbits do better in the cold than they do in the summer. That's a fun fact about rabbits. I've never had any rabbits die of heat stroke, but they can die of heat stroke pretty quickly. They get cold, or they get hot very quickly. That's one good reason why I like my rabbitry, is because we're inside there. It does get hot, but it does get hot in the barn. It does get hot in the rabbitry. But if I can keep the sun off of them, a lot of times they do pretty well. To keep my rabbits warm in the summer, I usually do tiles. Ceramic tiles, and if it gets really hot, I take water bottles and freeze them up, put them in the freezer, and then put them in there. And they do pretty well with it. Thankfully, we're in a milder climate. That's one good thing about Kentucky, is we get all the weather. We get the rain, we get the snow, we get the hot and the cold. We can get up to around 100 degrees with humidity. That with humidity is rough. I know a lot of times, you get farther down, like Southwest Arizona and Texas and stuff, a lot of times y'all don't get the humidity like we do. Humidity will flat knock you out. Like, you will walk outside and you are instantly soaked in sweat. And that's probably the worst thing about Kentucky summers, is just the humidity. It's not really the heat. And you'll hear that. Jason will probably vouch for me, but since he is from Kentucky, you walk outside. Well, he's in Tennessee too. It's going to be the same. You walk outside in the summertime and the humidity is at like 99 or 100, and you walk outside and you're soaked in sweat, and that's just it. Like, you're wet for the day. And usually you got to take a couple showers if you plan on getting anything done without smelling bad. Let me see. Dang, I missed my friends in Kentucky too long. Just to tell here, fair warning, with me I go. Good idea, the ice, yeah. The ice water, I can put ice, I've never done it, but put ice cubes in their water. It helps. Really, honestly, the tiles, the ceramic tiles, if you get, I know that you're, in a hotter climate than I am. But if you get those ceramic tiles, if you end up getting rabbits, I don't know if you're interested in getting rabbits, but those ceramic tiles really do help a lot. Obviously, it's common knowledge that ceramic tiles stay pretty cold. And so a lot of times if they get really, really hot, they'll lay flat on those ceramic tiles and then have that water bottle kind of laying up against their back or just close to them. And they'll lay right next to it. They're smart. I'll try my best not to blow up the chat though, but it's been a while since I've heard a good conversation like this. I appreciate it, Jason. I don't know if I didn't know I was good at having conversation. I guess I am. I don't know, because you all sit and talk to me. I don't know if that's bad for you all or or what. Like I said in the beginning, I can talk somebody's head off. I can talk. I have no problem being able to chit chat. But thank you for hanging out, Jason. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being on here. I know that I guess that you're new, right? Have you just discovered us? But I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that takes their time out of their day to watch my videos. I appreciate everybody that stops to chit chat on these lives. It's humbling. It's humbling in a good way. I don't trying to figure out a way to say this. My friend has some and is talking me into rabbits. Yeah, that's awesome. Daisy Q, you know how I feel about rabbits. You know how I feel about them. Yeah, rabbit manure. I'm looking into possibly starting to sell rabbit manure. I don't know what to price it, though. Here's the thing, is you can get on, like, Etsy. Is it Etsy or eBay? Maybe on both. I don't know. eBay and stuff like that. And they sell rabbit manure in gallon bags by $15 a piece. And to me, that just sounds really expensive. Normally, I want to talk about plants and farm things. Yeah, well, we talk about plants and farm things. For whatever reason, it hasn't come up today. No, listen, I'm in my 20s. And I love talking about plants and farm things. Those are my favorite things. Besides my husband, whom I love dearly, and my daughter, who I love dearly. They're my two favorite people in the entire world. I love them greatly. But gardening and farming are my things. I'm thinking about it, Daisy Q. I don't know. Like, if I was to sell it for $15 for a gallon bag, which seems high. That just seems high. I don't know. I don't know. And that seems high to me, but then, maybe people would buy it. I would like to sell it locally, but we'll see. Yeah, rabbits were just kind of something that happened. We had bought Clover, our pet rabbit. Well, she's not a pet anymore. She's our breeder. But she was our very first rabbit, along with another female. And her female friend died. When she died, we just decided that, we would look for a male. We weren't actively looking. We just figured we would try it. Because when we bought her as a Flemish Giant. That way we could, use them for meat later on. And so we finally bought a male, and then that started the whole trickling down of what we're doing now, which is breeding pedigreed show rabbits along with meat rabbits that we can put in the freezer, that we can sell breeders to other people, and that we can sell babies for meat as well. I don't butcher or anything like that. If somebody wants live rabbits for meat, then I sell them. No, if you want to talk about gardening and farming, I'm all for that. That's why people are here. I guess that's why they're here. I'm pretty sure that's why they're here. We're a farming channel. But I love talking about garden stuff. Gardening is something that I wait all year for. As soon as the garden's done in the summertime, I'm talking about fall garden. Unfortunately, our fall garden did not work out this year. Did not work out this year, but we're going to try, or I guess last year, 2023, but maybe Lord's willing we'll be able to try again in the 2024 garden. We added more to the garden this year, which I'm super thankful for, because guess what that means? That means more food. and I'm not going to complain about more food. And so, like I said in the beginning, I don't know if you all were here, we're going to be starting seeds, Lord's will, the second week of March. Hopefully that'll work out. I went ahead and bought some cups, some of the styrofoam cups and some of the plastic cups. I don't know which ones we'll use. And we're going to start seeds in some cups and stuff once my mother-in-law's seeds come in. So hopefully her seeds come in by the second week of March. She just now ordered them. And so I haven't... once they come in, if they come in by the second week of March, then we'll be starting our seeds the second week of March. Most of it's probably going to be tomatoes and peppers and things like that. I know that's what we eat the most of. We eat a lot of beans too, but you don't eat a lot of bean seeds. And we always start here in our zone, we can start pole beans in the ground. And we can start bush beans in the ground. I know you all have heard me say this before. A lot of you heard me say this before. I'm not a big fan of bush beans. I like pole beans. I don't know if that's just because I'm Appalachian or what it is, but I'm just... Romas are okay. Your Kentucky Wonders are okay. Your bush beans are okay, but my favorite is pole beans. And let me see. I've talked about it on a live before. Let me see if I got the list. If anybody is interested in the type of beans that we grow, I'll go ahead and name them on the list. I don't know if people are here for it or not. I've got a video on it. So you can check out that video as well, all the seeds that we have, and how we keep track of them. But our last frost is May 19th, and my favorite beans that I've got on the list, some of these, I'm not going to name all of them off because some of them you can't even get anyways. Some of them you can't even get anyways, but rattlesnakes, cut shorts, they're like a greasy bean. We got white greasies, and you can't buy those. But they're the greasy back beans with a white bean inside of them. Turkey crawls, your non-tough half runners, and Josephine Jacksons. And if you are wondering where we get our seeds, not sponsored by any means, but give me just a second. Okay. Not sponsored by any means. Let me see. Hold on, we had to take care of somebody there. Okay. But Seed Saver is where I like to order my seeds. They do have a free catalog. If you're looking for it, you can go to seeds. I think it's www.seedsaver.org. I think is what it is. They have a free catalog. You can also get on their website, and they have seeds there as well. Sorry, guys. We had to... those spammers that come on here. But they have a good catalog. They've got all your heirloom heirloom, or a lot of your heirloom needs. I don't know, I guess exactly what you what you like in heirloom, but they have a lot of good tomato varieties. They have a lot of good bean varieties. They have a lot of good pepper varieties. You name it, they probably got it. And one thing I like about them, and this is why I promote them so much, like I said, I am not sponsored. I just truly, truly like them, and that's why I'm giving you all this recommendation. They are not a one-man company. Like your Baker's Creek and stuff like that. There's like a family company, and, they hire people, whatever. They've got their own seeds. And if you've ever watched like the information on that, and there's nothing wrong with that. The man that started it is, he owns his own business, and that's fantastic. Seed Saver seeds are, from what I understand, is, it's multiple people who just save seeds. It's people like me and you who just save seeds, and they say, hey, I've got these seeds. They're heirloom seeds, and that's one thing about it, is they're going to be heirloom. A lot of them are going to be heirloom. They might have some hybrid breeds, but I think it's mostly heirloom. But it's multiple people. It's not one man that's, collecting all the things and hiring people to collect all the things. There's just regular people who say, hey, I've got these seeds, and then they ship the seeds out from those people. So that's what I like about them. It makes it feel like more like a community. You also can get a lot of different variety of seeds from different areas. And a lot of them, from my understanding, come from, they come from the United States. And so that's always a plus as well. I can't quote that for 100%, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of them are like United States acclimated to our kind of temperatures and climates and things like that. Yes, we do sell our produce some. Not last year, but the year before last, we actually had a produce let's see if I can get it out. A produce stand, where we sold it was just a weekend, but we sold our extras. At the time, my father-in-law was in the hospital, and so they were not eating out of their garden because they were in the hospital. And so a lot of the produce would have went to waste. So we took the extra produce we had, we took the extra produce that they had, and we bought a few things from local farmers in our area, and we set up a produce stand for the weekend, and we made quite a bit of money. And I don't say that to brag, but I say that it is possible to make pretty good money off of it if you can set yourself up in a high traffic area. And that's what I recommend. If you're going to be doing produce, set it up in a high traffic area that is in an area that people are not going to be able to raise gardens, and they want that farm produce. Yeah, the humidity. Yeah. Now, last year we didn't do that. We put back a lot of our produce. We put back a lot of our produce, canned a lot of our produce. But it is possible to make a decent amount of money setting up a produce stand. You're going to have to be efficient with the way that you grow your things. There was some stuff that obviously, like I said, that we had to buy, from local farmers. We ran out of our half runner beans. We had a bunch of half runner beans. I think we started the produce stand on Friday, and we went was it Friday? It was maybe Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we didn't sell anything on Sunday. So I think it was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And there was people that came to our produce stand every single day buying gallon-sized bags full of green beans every day. And the same thing with corn. We didn't have enough corn from our garden, so we bought local organic raised corn by the, I don't know, it was like 50-pound bags or something like that. I can't remember. They were very large. And we got those for a good price, and then just turned around and resell. So some things you're not going to be able to grow. I grew up as a hay sharecropper. We had fields of crops mainly for ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. I ain't about that city life. I'm not about it. We live in town right now. I've talked about it on lives before. We are saving up for a farm of our own. As of now, we farm my mother-in-law and father-in-law's land that they were not using. And so we put animals on the farm to benefit us, along with, helping them out and, giving them things from the property, along with expanding their garden, because before that they couldn't really work and expand the garden. And so we have worked on making their soil a little bit better, working on their soil, and expanded the garden significantly and grow a large enough garden that we can feed 2 families out of the garden, 2 small families. There's 3 of us, and what's 3? I guess 3 of them now. That live in the house. So 6 people, we can feed 6 people pretty comfortably out of the farm or out of the garden throughout the summer, and then be able to preserve and put up the rest. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not, I don't like living in town. You would have to drag me to what I would consider a city. People wouldn't consider where I live a city. I think that our population in the little town that I live in is like 2,000. I think that's our population, and that's 2,000 more people than I even want to be around. That sounds awful, but I don't like being in town. Now the town that our farm is on, ugh. You see my kitchen right now. You can't see all of it. But I don't know, 6 foot on either side of being able to touch the farthest walls. Yes, my kitchen is tiny on this side. And our post office in the town that our farm is in might be smaller than my kitchen. It's like a 12 by 12 little room, and that's the only reason why we're considered a town, is because we have a post office. Yeah. There's not much property that comes up for sale out there, unfortunately. But yeah, that's my type of living. I would rather, it's good to have neighbors at a distance. That's my opinion on it. I don't want to get into all kinds of fussiness here, but I don't believe that we were meant to live on top of each other, right next to each other. I don't believe it. I don't like it. I don't like being, having people real close to me. As my husband always used to say, and we've talked about it because we want to buy property. He says, I want to pee off my back porch without having anybody being able to see. I'm that type of person. I would, I want to pee off my back porch. I know that probably sounds vulgar. I don't know if it does or not. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but y'all know what I mean when I say it. That if you wanted to go outside and do whatever you wanted to do, that you wouldn't have somebody that's, right next to you can see what you're doing. Yeah. 5,000 is not, I guess, horrible, but that sounds like a lot of people. That sounds like a lot of people. Our little town that I live in right now, probably when we moved here when I was a child, I'd say it was nowhere near 2,000 people. 2,000 people now is like having to sit through a traffic light being in the back. When before, there's some spots in this town that didn't even have traffic lights. The town that our farm is in doesn't have it doesn't have a light at all. There's no light. There's no light for miles. You don't have no light, just stop signs. And that's there ain't even a caution light. There ain't even a caution. There ain't even enough people that they gotta have a caution light. Yeah, that's the kind of town that I would like to. That's the size of the place that I would like to live in, where you don't even have to have a caution light. That everything is just stop signs, and you don't have to worry about people being right next to you. You don't have to worry about people being on top of you. You don't have to worry about, like people complaining about your animals. There's a sign that I see that pops up sometimes. And it's this farmer that they put a sign at like their gate or like next to where this other property is. And it says, don't move here if you don't like loud noises, if you don't like seeing animals go to the bathroom outside, and if you don't like seeing animals reproduce or doing the act of reproduction. I don't want to say it y'all know what I mean, on the live. I might get in trouble for that. But the act of reproduction outside, because they do all of those things. And if you're not comfortable with that, don't move next to a farm. And I completely agree with that. If you're not comfortable with those things, you probably shouldn't move next to the farm. If you don't like, seeing chickens getting processed and rabbits getting processed, you probably don't need to live next to us. I tell you, I guess y'all hold your own church then. Our church is actually, what is it? It's like 30 minutes from, you're telling on us right here. Our church is 30 minutes from where where the farm is. And it was actually started by my husband's grandfather, and my husband is the pastor of the church now. So we told on ourselves, didn't we? You always grew up bush beans. I don't know if your comments are late. It must be like a lag or something, because your comments are like way far, like they're split up between what we're actually talking about. Yeah, I'm not, bush beans aren't horrible, but they're just not my favorite. Like you just have like your favorite that you like to grow in the garden. To be honest with you, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, bush beans are easier to can, in my opinion. They do better when they're canned. They hold up a little bit better when they're canned. They're also just easier because you don't have to string. I'm sorry, excuse me. You don't have to string the bean. Yeah, he's a little bit late, ain't he? You don't have to string the bean, and so it moves a lot faster. But to me, a bean with a string tastes better. Maybe some people wouldn't agree with me. I think it's the way that we cook them. I think it's the southern way that we cook them. Ark knows what I'm talking about. We've talked about it before. Just how we cook beans. We don't saute beans. I know that that's kind of more of a northern thing to saute beans. We boil beans with fat, with the salted pork or some type of fat and some onion and some potatoes, and that's green beans for us. That's a meal with a little bit of cornbread or biscuit or something on the side. Y'all don't know, a lot of y'all know I don't like cornbread. I've talked about it before. People gasp in awe when I say that. I'm not a cornbread eater. It's not the taste, it's the texture. But anyways, green beans are a full meal in our area, in our region. And in the summertime, they're so good. But a string bean just tastes better, in my opinion. That's a very strong opinion that I have, but it does. They have a better taste. They're a stronger taste. And specifically, your rattlesnakes, those heirloom breeds that I talked about, your greasy beans, your greasy back beans. If you are looking for a bean that has a stronger bean taste, you're going to want to look for your heirloom breeds, especially your greasy back beans are going to have a stronger taste. Yeah. Yeah, he said string beans. I miss having string beans fresh off the farm. People talk about tomatoes, but yeah, farm green beans were the real meal. Oh yeah, Daisy Q. I won't have a garden without green beans. And was it you? I can't remember if it was you or somebody else, and another gentleman was on one of the lives, and you all told me. I can't remember if it was you, Daisy Q. Told me that I could plant what is it called? Pinto beans. From like store-bought beans. And so I don't know if it was you, but I'm going to try that. So I'm going to try to grow some pinto beans this year as well. Yeah, your greasy beans are gonna have a little bit stronger taste. Your heirloom breeds are gonna have a little bit stronger taste. Out of the ones that I named, the non-tufts are kind of mildy tasting compared to your greasy backs, but your turkey craws are gonna have a stronger bean taste. Your rattlesnakes are gonna have a stronger bean taste, but probably the strongest, in my opinion, the best tasting. Now I like them all the ones that I named. Those are some of my favorites. My favorite is going to be the greasy back beans, specifically the white bean inside. We have two types of greasy beans. I do not know the names of them. They were just given to them by local people, and so we just call them what we call them, which is the white greasy bean and the black greasy bean. The white greasy back bean has a white bean inside of it. It's about this big, and the seed of the brown greasies is about, I've got a pencil here, it's about the size of a pencil eraser. It's not very big at all. Oh yeah, I know about beans. No, I don't grow lima beans or butter beans, and it's because we don't like them. Shame on us. Shame on us. I think my mother-in-law is going to grow some peas this year. That's something else that my family doesn't like. I like them. I like peas, but my daughter doesn't. I don't think. Maybe she does. She tried peas the other day, and she might have liked them. My husband does not like peas. They like gag him. He can't do peas. Yeah, I know my beans, Jason. Butter beans and ham. That sounds like a meal. You know how I am, Mark, and we've talked about this before. I'll try anything. But I like growing things that we love, because that's typically what we're going to be eating all winter long. And so I don't want to take up garden space, for like stuff like butter beans or stuff that we don't actually like, because, I like being able to preserve, what we like. I'm willing to try a few things. Like red kidney beans, never grew them before. Shoot, peas are almost my favorite food on earth. Wow. Purple hull beans, or purple hull peas, not beans. I've never grown kidney beans either. That'd be a good thing for me to grow, though, because we do eat we eat kidney beans and black beans and chili. When I make chili, I make chili with kidney beans or black beans. And then, of course, soup beans. Art knows what I'm talking about, and Jason knows what I'm talking about when I say soup beans. We use our kidney beans for soup beans. Excuse me, I choked on air right there. I've never had the purple hull piece. Never had the purple hull piece. I've heard of them, I've seen them, but I've never had them. I've never actually tasted them. But we'll see. Lord's willing, I've got some more things that I want to can this year that's on my list to can. One of those is being dill pickles. My mother-in-law canned some of the crunchiest sweet pickles that I've ever tasted. And I'm not big on sweet pickles, but I like these pickles so much because they're so crunchy. They're so good. And so hopefully we can get some crunchy dill pickles. It's on her list to do some pickled okra. So maybe we'll get some pickled okra. She did some pepper jelly last year. I'd never heard of pepper jelly. Y'all, I'm going to make me a bunch of pepper jelly because it was amazing. And what else was I? Pepper jelly. She did some cucumber relish that had extra peppers in it and cucumber, and it was decent. It wasn't my favorite, but it was pretty good. But I want to try to can some more things this year. And so those are a couple of the things that I want to can. Corinthians, now thanks unto God, which always causes us to triumph in Christ, who make us manifest the Savior in his knowledge by us in every place. Y'all talking about my favorite foods. Well, let me just throw out fried taters while we're talking about your favorite foods. No. Well, I said no, Daisy Q. I think that she used... You know what, Daisy Q? I don't want to tell you for sure. I think she used bell peppers. This is kind of a sweet pepper jelly. But I'll tell you where to go. Well, I thought I was going to tell you where to go. Let me think. It completely... Appalachian... Daggone it. Why is it just completely... Hopefully, I can think about it. Daisy Q. Daggone it. It slipped my mind, and that's so aggravating. I hate when that happens. Appalachian... I don't know, Daisy Q. You can type in pepper jelly on YouTube. Type in Appalachian pepper jelly, and maybe it'll come up. Why can I not think of the name of her channel? Appalachian Tradition. What is that called? Live in Appalachian. The recipe that she uses is the one that I'm thinking about. It's and it's really, really good. And so I wish that I could tell you the name of her channel. Okay. I know the name of her website. Her vlog or her blog is The Blind Pig and the Acorn. And her recipe is on The Blind Pig and the Acorn. So I think it might be like, just type in blind pig and an acorn, and then pepper jelly, and you'll find the recipe for that one. And that's the one that I recommend. I've never tasted any of the rest of them, but I can recommend this pepper jelly because it's really, really good. Corn cob jelly. We were talking about, yes, corn cob jelly is on my list. I'm glad that you said that. Actually, I'm going to write that down on my thing. That way I will try not to forget it. I'm glad that you said that, Ark, because we talked about that on one of the lives. And I think that is a wonderful way to use your corn cobs, and I think it's going to be delicious. Something else that I want to try, Lord's willing, to can in the spring is some Celebrating Appalachia. Thank you. Randy knows who I'm talking about. Yes, thank you. Why could I not think of that? I knew it was Appalachia, and I was thinking tradition, but it just didn't sound right. Celebrating Appalachia. Absolutely. That is the name of it. If you haven't watched her channel, you need to watch her channel. Because she knows all she is well-versed and educated in Appalachian traditions. I think that they're in the Carolinas. And she knows what she's talking about. I knew that, but I was waiting for y'all to get it. So, for some reason, Jason, that little winky face makes me think you didn't actually know. But her blog is Blind Pig and an Acorn, and that's where a lot of her recipes are. She has Appalachian recipes specifically. That's what her channel is all about. She is educated in Appalachian ways. Yeah, she is. I love her channel. Actually, she is probably one of the main reasons why I started my channel. If I'm going to be 100% honest, that she inspired me to have the channel that I have. And inspired me to show people how we live in North Carolina. Yep. He knows them. He must watch them. They're an amazing channel. I'm sure that Randy can vouch for them. And so, yeah, I love the channel. I love the recipes. I love the fact that she talks about us. She talks about us as people, Appalachian people. And there's just I've said it before, but there's something different about us. Like Jason was saying, he knew a Kentuckian. We're just different. We're made different. We think different. We're just different. And I think because of that, people kind of look at us different too. Yeah, he's a good channel. People kind of look at us a little bit different, see us a little bit different. And I think that when they first, y'all, they didn't even know we existed. They didn't even know Appalachia, like people, the hill people, the Appalachian people really even existed. Didn't really fool with us and thought we were, weird. And still people probably do. People probably think that we're just weird. But I wanted to start this channel to let people know that, how we live, the things that we love, the things that are truly Appalachian. And there's things that are truly Appalachian, just like those green beans that I named off and, talked about how we make green beans in Appalachia. I don't know many other places, especially up north, that would make green beans like we do. It's an Appalachian thing. It's a southern thing to cook food the way we do. And that's why I like our channel, is because she is educated and has educated herself and has made it her life's mission to educate and to look up and to discover more things about Appalachia. And I appreciate it because I'm young. I'm still, I'm in my 20s. And this is my home, and I love history. I love learning more about my home, and my people and where I come from, and the things of this area. Yeah, they are. She said that the world today is looking for basic way living. Y'all always done. Yeah. See, that's the thing, is that when they figured out that there was people up in Appalachia, when they figured out there was people in these hills and hollers in this area, they thought we were nuts. We were living without, which I never did, but as generations in the past was living without electricity. We were getting our water from wells. We were, just people, the different ways that, in church, a lot of people, if you hear about, Pentecostal or holiness, and Jason might know what I'm talking about. He was from the Somerset area. Holiness and Pentecostal, that's a mountain. And Randy in West Virginia probably know a little bit about it too. That's a mountain way of having church. It was just we did things differently. And they looked down on us, and they seen us as ignorant and stupid. And they came in, and the government did, and the people, and they thought that they were going to fix us. They were going to change us, that they were going to give us schooling or whatever they thought that they were going to do. And here's the thing too, is we had Rocky Mountain horses, and I don't know if anybody has heard of Rocky Mountain horses, but they're an Appalachian horse. They're what you call, what is it called? It's not landlocked. It's like we had them, and they are so rare outside of the United States, outside of Kentucky, outside of this area, is because we had this horse in Appalachia and in Kentucky that was bred to I guess they probably have them in Arkansas as well. I forgot about that arc. But they had these horses that were specifically just like made for the Appalachian hills and the mountains and stuff. And so we were different. We were different people. And people they looked down on our ancestors and our people and thought they were stupid. Just seen us as ignorant, and that they needed to change us or make us smarter or whatever. But, it's funny because, like you said, they're going back to it. Royal priesthood, a holy nation, and particular people. Yeah, peculiar people. That ye shall show forth and praise him who hath called you out of the darkness and his marvelous light. Yeah, see, that's the problem. That's why my little town went from just, a few people to 2,000 people. Rattlesnake Handler Churches. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I did this channel, is to show people, how we grow food and stuff. But I talked about it on a live. I think I talked about it with Harmon Homestead. We didn't start raising food because a lot of other, a lot of other people started raising food. We started raising food the way that we do because it was tradition. And it was tradition the way that we raise food. It's tradition a lot of the ways that I cook food. I think that's why a lot of people watch my videos and ask for more food videos, because we cook things different. We do things different. We season things different. We cook, like I was talking about the green beans. A lot of people, like saute green beans. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that people... I think that's a fancy way of eating green beans. We just boil them, and throw some taters and some fat back in there, some meat, and some salted pork or something in there, and that's how we eat green beans. And so that's what I like. That's one of the main reasons why I started this channel, is to show people, how we live in Appalachia, how we live in Kentucky. And different parts of Appalachia do different things, but there's one thing in common, that Appalachia is our home, that these hills and these mountains and these hollers are our home. And the connection goes deep. It's down in our blood. When I was a kid, if you didn't grow up, it killed it. Or catch it, you didn't eat. Yeah. See, I didn't grow up that way. But I know people that did. I talked about on a live with Harmon Homestead how my husband's grandparents, that's what they did. They went out and robbed nests, and they, ate doves, or I don't know if they ate doves. I think they did. I mean, they ate birds that they could catch. My husband, there's over a decade between us, and in this very house that we live in now, which was his grandmother's, they used to go down the road and rob the ducks and geese nest. It was, next to the pond, and they would, eat an egg for breakfast. So that's what they would do. And so, and that's common. That's common in regions like this. It's common in Appalachia that people were raised up that way. My husband, I don't know if they even had electricity. I think they did. It was later. He lived out in the backwoods area, and his family had, for generations, had lived on this road, and I don't know if they had electric. I know that he got washed in a wash tub, that they had to bring the water in and pour it in the tub. In the metal tub. And see, I wasn't raised that way. I was raised in town, and so I had all the modern things, especially since I was raised I was born a decade later after he was, and so he had a little bit harder life than I did, I guess. Yeah, he's talking about getting a possum. Yeah, eating possums. I don't know if it was coon or possum one, that one of my husband's grandmothers, if I'm not mistaken, Lord, I hope I ain't telling you wrong. But I think it was either coon or possum one that they would catch, and they'd catch in traps and then put them in like a fenced-in area, in like a crate or something, and they would feed them corn for a certain period of time to clean them out, and then they'd eat them. They didn't, just get them right off dead off the side of the road, but they would eat them. And I'm thinking it was possum or raccoon, but I'm not 100% sure. But that was common. Those things were common. I know my grandma, my Nana, on my mom's side, she was talking about, possum. She was talking about, I've heard her tell the story, which I wish I could. I live so far away from her. I live over an hour away from her, and I don't get to see her or talk to her much. But I'd heard this story one time that something was going on with her mama. And maybe her mom was in labor and her daddy wasn't there, and all they had was this blind It was a blind plow horse, big old horse. And she had to go quite a distance, and had to, get to somebody's house, and maybe it was her aunt's house or something like that, to let them know what was going on. And she rode that blind horse, and she said she was scared to death. It was the first time she had ever been on a horse. Maybe she's like 6 years old, and she was scared because he was blind. And she rode him to her aunt's or somebody's house to tell, that her mama was in labor, that she was having a baby. And rode that blind horse. And I always liked that story. Because that's the stuff they had to do. They didn't have no vehicles or nothing to go to somebody's house. And she not only didn't have a good horse, but she had a blind horse that she had to, take to her aunt's house. Because something was going on. And I always liked that story. I guess they had a buggy horse or something like that, and her daddy was just gone. He had it. And, and the fact that I talk about it a lot, my Nana was a 12-pound baby. And her mother was young when she had her, and she was her very first baby. She didn't have her in the hospital or nothing like that. She had a midwife at home. Her young, maybe 16, somewhere in there, 16 years old, her very first baby being 12 pounds. And she had 12 more children. And those stories just, I don't know. They're just amazing. My other grandmother on the other side, on my other side, she was born premature, and they kept her in a little box on top of a wood stove, and it was I think they said she was so small, she was in a matchbox. One of those matchboxes that you used to get in the olden days. That she was so small, they kept her in a matchbox, on top of a wood stove to keep her warm. Or next to the wood stove, on top of it, or next to it, or something like that. Or maybe it will get too hot on top of it. But that kept her alive. And people used to be resilient. They used to know how to take care of their own. They used to know how to take care of themselves, and that's a lost skill. That's a lost skill in this world, being able to know how to take care of yourself. Hi, Storms. How you doing? Let's see. Remember a couple times we'd have to break up a whole field with garden hose. Yeah. We were very old-fashioned farming, really. That was hard work. And our little garden out here by the house, we just now got a tiller in the last year or two, but we broke it up by hand. My husband mostly did with a hoe. I've done it. I know what you're talking about. It wasn't no large field. You were probably breaking up big fields. But my husband worked in Backer. Did, as far as I know, about his whole entire life. Yeah, instead of a plow. Yeah. Worked in Backer, and I've never had to work in Backer, but I've heard that is hard work. Backer is the thing of the past around here, though. It's not. Very few people raise Backer now here in our area. She is. My grandmother is very strong. Yep. Both of them are. Both of them are very strong. My Nana, she's 96 years old. Just recently broke her back. She fell and broke her back. And she's doing a lot better now. She was in rehab, and she's out of rehab. She lives... She's recently broke her back, like I said. She's almost completely blind. And she's still kicking, going strong. She actually, my papa died year before last. He had Alzheimer's, and he passed away. But she took care of him up until his dying day. And my Nana is a very strong woman. My grandma on my dad's side, the one that was premature, is extremely strong as well. I tell this story all the time, and people are in shock when I say it. She's been struck by lightning twice. And it's funny because both times, well, I guess it's not funny, but both times she was struck by lightning, she was washing dishes in the sink during a thunderstorm. Or a lightning storm. How many people has been struck by lightning twice? That's how resilient she is. That's how strong my grandmothers are. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud to have that blood running through my veins. I hope one day I can be as strong as they are. But they're amazing people with stories to tell. And unfortunately, I grew up. My grandmother on my dad's side. My dad is originally from Missouri, Missouri, and so they lived in Missouri. They went back and forth from Kentucky to Missouri multiple times, and they're back in Kentucky. But I wasn't raised with my grandparents as much as I would have liked to. I wasn't raised around my cousins or anything like that. We grew up pretty much by ourselves. We moved quite a bit when I was younger. And this area is home to us because that's where we stayed the longest. But I didn't grow up with them as much as I would have liked to, and like to have heard all the stories. They're still living, though, and but like I said, they're farther away from me than I would like them to be. But they've got amazing stories. There's amazing stories that are probably throughout your family as well, and I'm glad that I have those stories to hold on to. There was a lot of troubles and trials that went through their life too. Yeah, they were my grandfather on my dad's side. His parents were married in Kansas, and they moved from Kansas to Missouri, and that's where they lived. And my grandfather was an Irishman, and my grandmother was an Indian, Native American. That's when you know they're mean, ain't it? When it bites them and it dies. Who had the most venom? Oh, I love stories like that. I've heard of stories like that. Rattlesnakes biting people and it dying. There's actually a man that goes to our church that got bit by a rattlesnake, and the rattlesnake died. He did not. Didn't even swell. And the rattlesnake died. So I love stories like that. Those are good ones. I love stories in general. I love hearing about heritage and stuff like that, and that's what I was celebrating. Appalachia is an amazing channel for that, especially if you want to know more about our area, about Appalachia, about the things of the Appalachian things that we do. And they do like a series too of like phrases that we say. Yes. Yeah, my grandpa on my dad's side was a pastor. He's Christian church, and that's why my dad is, I guess. My dad is as well, and yes, Protestant is what I was raised. Protestant was what I was raised. I'm Pentecostal now, though. I wasn't raised Pentecostal, but that's I married into it, and what do you say? I got converted to Pentecostal. I don't know. I guess. I guess is the way to say that. But yeah, I was raised Christian, and my grandparents were raised Christian. As far as I know, they were. My grandmother was German. I don't know what her dad might have been German as well. Her mother was full-blown German. She was from Germany. So I probably should ask, but I don't know for sure. Rather he was, my great-grandfather was full German. My great-grandmother, though, was, on my grandmother's side. And then on my grandpa's side, my great-grandmother was Native American. She was Blackfoot and Cherokee Indian, and then her husband was Irish. I've told this story before on a live, but I didn't know his story until recently. I was actually doing some background into my DNA and looking up names and stuff. And it piqued my interest when I seen a picture of my grandmother when she was in elementary school. She was in Kansas, and it had her class, her class picture from I don't even know what year it was. I can't tell you. And she was in that picture, and it was Kansas. And I started asking my mom for some questions and started looking around and stuff. And the story of my great grandfather on my grandpa's side is that my grandfather was Irish. They came over here on a ship. I can't remember if they went to New York. They came over to New York. I can't remember for sure. I don't want to say for 100%. But they came to a big city. They ended up moving to Kansas. It was his parents and his siblings. And he was a young man. I don't think quite, maybe early teens. And they decided that they were going to go back. That they were going back to Ireland, that they weren't going to stay here in America, that they weren't going to stay in Kansas. And he stayed. He stayed back. He refused to go. I guess the story even goes that he left with them and then decided or ran away. They were leaving and he ran away, or it was something like that. I can't remember exactly. But he decided that he was going to stay, and he did. And I guess later on he found my grandmother, and they got married, and then they married in Kansas, and they moved to Missouri. And I don't really know what his trade was, to be honest. I'm going to guess farmer. I'm going to guess probably a cattle farmer, because that's what my grandfather was. He was a cattle farmer. He was my whole entire life up until he moved here to Kentucky. He lived in Missouri. And he moved here to Kentucky, retired. And my aunt took over his farm. And so she has cattle and sheep. And so he's a farmer by trade. My dad was a farmer. He grew up as a farmer, and his siblings are farmers, all of them. My one aunt is a goat farmer. My other aunt is a sheep and cattle farmer, and his other sibling is he trains horses, and he's a farm hand, and has had different animals throughout the years. So. On my dad's side, they're farmers. On my mom's side, her mother was raised on the farm, and I'm not quite sure about her dad. I don't have much information on my mom's dad. But I do know that he worked on the railroad for a time. But he, like I was talking about in the beginning, he had some issues with alcoholism, so I don't know if he ever really kept a job much. I'm going to say he probably didn't. I think that my grandmother did a lot of the working. But anyways, that's a whole bunch of my family story right there, guys. Whole bunch of my family story. It's neat, though, that how people migrate and move and they go to different places. And we ended up in Kentucky. We ended up in Appalachia. And I thank God for it, because I love it. This is home. I wasn't raised up with my grandparents as much as I would have liked to. Well, it's better than a TV show. I wasn't raised up with my grandparents what I like to have been. I wasn't raised around my cousins. We always lived a few hours away from each other, but had a good life. And that's all that matters. I love my life now. I have everything, almost everything. I'd like to have my own farm, but I'm living the life that I wanted. Yeah, I always wanted that. I always wanted to be raised up with my grandparents. My husband was raised up with his grandparents and his uncles and his cousins. And so my daughter gets to be raised up on my sister and my brother live in the area. And so, she gets to be raised up, close to them, but she doesn't get to be raised up with the extended family on my side. But she does on my husband's side. She gets to have the second cousins and the third cousins and the fourth cousins, and the aunts and the uncles and all the things on that side. And she gets to be raised up really close to her grandparents. And I'm glad that she gets to do that. She gets to be around them and gets to be around her family. So that's a wonderful way to be raised, and that's how I always wanted to be. But it just didn't work out that way. So my parents were the type of people though that can move away from their family and not have any problem with it. My husband and his family's not like that. They, where they were born and raised here, and then they're all here. None of them really has went away. We have a daughter. Just one. Only one. Probably will only be one. So, yes, we do have a daughter. Probably just be her, though. Not something that she's very fond of. She wants more. But she's probably not going to get any more. Chances are low for her. Well, guys, I said I got on this early so that I could maybe not talk so much, not be on here so long, but here I am, hour and 30 minutes in, and I've chatted and talked my head off, and told you all practically my entire life story now. So I think it's time to hop off. But I appreciate everybody that's popped in and come to hang out. Thank you, Jason. I think this is your first time on our live. Thank you, Ark, if you're still here. Thank you, Daisy Q. Storms, thanks for popping in. It's always wonderful to hear from you. Same thing with Ark. It's always wonderful to hear from you. Randy, if you were still on here, thank you for popping in. You were the first guy here. Daisy Q, as always. Good night. Good night. God bless y'all. Here, Ark, you said you're here. God bless y'all, and y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being here. Y'all have been wonderful. Like I said, I've done told y'all my whole entire life story. Randy said I didn't have no problem talking to people. He was not wrong. He was not wrong. I appreciate it, though, guys. Hopefully we can talk to y'all on to the next one. If you are new here and you don't know, I usually try to do a live on Wednesdays and Sundays, every Wednesday and every Sunday, good Lord willing, and He allows us to do it. And sometimes I pop in here and there, like I had a random Tuesday yesterday, so we'll just see what happens. But good Lord's willing, we'll see y'all on the next one. We'll see you later. Bye. Thanks for hanging out.